All right. Hello, everyone. This is the first time I've gone live on any entity. So this is going live on YouTube's channel, What Would Sam Say, as well as my Facebook page, privately, Samantha Katie Glidden Wright, as well as Wright Counseling and Consulting. So basically, what I am doing is I am trying to create a platform to help enlighten people, offer up some insightful conversations about issues that face all of us and that have been even harder over the last year. Basically, what I have noticed since the last, I would say at this point, it started hitting in March of 2020. People have been really, really scared. Anxieties have been high. We've been going through a pandemic. We have also been dealing with a ton of relationship issues across the board when it comes to couples, when it comes to parents and children. It has caused a huge divide out here in the world. It's not just our country. There's difference of opinions when it comes to how people handle COVID-19, difference of opinions on how people have been handling the recent issues within politics and where you stand. There has been a lot of judgment, a lot of hate. So my hope is to kind of put this platform out there to kind of talk about things in a very healthy manner, that we can come to consensuses, that we can like start to get along, stick together, be the best humans that we can be, because life is about finding our happiness, and our happiness can only be found within us. So one of the questions that has been given to me over the last, I don't know, probably the last 6 months especially, have been adults, children living back at home with their parents. One of my letters that came in was, "Dear Sam, my adult children, college age, have been home since last March of 2020. They've been doing online schooling. They've been trying to work, but we've all been in one house together for a year, and we have no privacy, period." Okay, so, and also on top of that, they add that there is a huge difference of opinions when it comes to how they feel things have been going with the pandemic as well as politics. The parents indicate that, they are very conservative and their children are more democratic, liberal, and this has caused a huge divide of arguments over how the different politicians have been handling things. So this has been a huge, huge, huge point of contention across people with their relatives, friends, strangers, people running into each other at the grocery store, like getting mad at one another for what they may be seeing as whether they want to wear a mask or not wear a mask, or whether they were for Biden or they're for Trump. So here we are. How do you have these conversations? How do you talk to people about your opinion? Well, a lot of times I tell people that sometimes it's best to keep your opinions to yourself. There's a reason why you feel like you need to promote your opinions to other people, is because you want to try to sway them sometimes. Most people have their opinions for a reason. And there comes a point where we do have to find a way to respect one another's views without getting upset and angry and thinking that it's a personal attack. I always ask my clients, because I've had a huge influx of clients from very different spectrums. I have many clients that are very conservative, very conservative. And a lot of them are very much into the aspect of not feeling like they should be told what to do. They want their freedoms. They want to be able to make the decisions for their own health and their livelihood. Okay? Yeah, fair enough. I also have the other spectrum of, I have many, many clients that are very, very liberally minded, democratic. And I have a hard time putting all these specific labels on these people, because I'm going to tell you right now, we are all more alike than we are different. We just put in earplugs at times and stop listening to one another. It happens all the time. Communication breakdowns. So when I talk with these people, I see that even on the liberal and democratic mind, you have a huge growing community of the LGBTQ community that are wanting to live their lives. They want their rights. They want to pursue their happiness. They deserve it. The conservative minded deserve it. So what's the difference here? There's none. Everybody wants to live their life. Everybody wants happiness. Everybody wants to be able to make their own decisions. So how are we so different? Why can't we respect one another's opinions just because we don't necessarily agree, right? So now, I really find that a lot of people have a tendency to allow themselves to be conditioned in negative ways. So, what is conditioning? Conditioning is working to create a certain behavior or view by exposing oneself to it over and over and over again until you make it a habit, right? Everybody is being conditioned in different ways based on what they are subjected to, what news they watch, who they hang around with, what articles they read. I definitely challenge a lot of my clients to get to the point where you turn off the social media, you turn off the news. And if you really want to understand how the world works, educate yourself on history. Educate yourself on facts that are there that can be seen in a book. You really can't trust what is out there all the time now, people. You got to like challenge yourself sometimes. So when these conversations have to happen in households where you have difference of opinions, I mean, I've seen people completely divided where it becomes a point where they want nothing to do with one another. So is that healthy? You want to shun the people that you care about just because you don't agree with one aspect of their opinion. You can make your own decisions, but you don't have to force your views on others. It comes a point of how is this benefiting you? Is it helpful or is it not helpful? So I know that in my own household, we do implement the idea of fair fighting. You know, it's kind of that thing where you sit down, you communicate about your thoughts and your feelings without blaming or shaming somebody else for their thoughts and feelings. This is not easy because we all have a tendency to want to be right and we want to be heard, we want to be validated. But most people want to be right. Okay. I get this all the time when I deal with family counseling, couples counseling. There's this idea of, well, you need to decide and figure out which one of us has made the best decision. And everybody's decision is different based on their experiences. Okay. So in fair fighting, you basically, it's as simple as you can even like take like a cup or a stick at the table and whoever's holding it is the one that gets to talk, and you put time limits on it and you only really express your thoughts and feelings and you have to own them. You can't blame it on other people. That is hard because we all want to blame why we may see something a certain way on an experience, and we can explain it, but you can't blame it. All right. So now, another big question that has been coming up lately is I definitely see a huge influx within the LGBTQ community. I know that in my 20 years of being a therapist, I have dealt more with identity issues, transitioning. A lot of the transgendered community is now feeling more comfortable in coming out and identifying this. Okay. So I have had a ton of teenagers come into me over the last couple of years, and they're having identity issues, their sexual identity, a huge influx of wondering whether they are homosexual, And a lot of these kids that are coming in are identifying that they feel that they're in the wrong body, they're in a different gender. I've had more people come in that want to identify as non-binary, where, they're not really identifying as he or she. They prefer the they because they feel like they are more gender fluid. So that meaning that some days they feel like a girlish boy and other days they may feel like a boyish girl, or more masculine or more feminine. It is confusing. It is hard. It is confusing for them as well. It's very hard. These conversations have been now put on the forefront when it comes to politics, and people want to draw these lines in the sand. We can't do that. We have to get to the point where we can actually have conversations without filling it with hate. So I have found that I am no expert when it comes to that. I am learning. But I know that when I deal with these kids and young adults, I ask questions. I don't pretend to know. And I think that is one of the biggest things that we as a community dealing with one another, we can take to every aspect of their life. Don't assume. Don't ever assume that you know what somebody else is feeling or thinking, or how they may view a situation. What you need to do is ask questions. You'll get answers. And I have found that across the board, whether it be about identity, sexuality, political views, views on health, that if you ask questions and you ask why people think what they think, they're more than willing to tell you. And usually it'll make sense why they feel the way they do. And the more that we can have these open, honest conversations, the sooner we get back together and we stop allowing media, politics to control us. It's dangerous. Throughout this whole year, we've paid a lot of attention to health, and that's not bad. We need to pay attention to health, but we have dropped the ball when it comes to mental health. I have been dealing more with people that have never dealt with anxieties or depression, and I've been dealing with it now because they have been home. They've been with their families. They've lost jobs. Their relationships have suffered. They have had financial setbacks. They have gotten so involved in some different aspects of the political climate that they would cry over things that these politicians are saying and doing, and are afraid. True fear. And it's valid. That fear exists. But what do you do with it? You have to take care of yourself. We have stopped putting our mental health first, and we need to. We need to take care of our own mental clarity and making sure that we are able to implement self care. Okay. What is self care? Self care is anything that makes you feel good and is healthy. Okay. Now, a lot of people lately have gotten into the aspect of self medicating. Alcoholism is rampant right now because people are home and got nothing else to do. So, what are some of those things that can be done for coping? Well, a lot of people feel alone even when they're in a house full of people. I definitely suggest people reaching out for therapy. There are so many different platforms these days that can be affordable when it comes to, entities online like BetterHelp and Talkspace. Not that I necessarily think these are the best platforms. I do think finding a therapist and being able to have one-on-one, but guess what? Telehealth is everywhere right now. This is a good thing. You can literally be in your car. You can be in the privacy of your own room. You can do anything that you need to do to reach out for help. We matter. All of us do. We have to take pride in ourselves for our happiness. So, one thing that I do with all of my clients, because this is a new platform, I've never done this before. I am really just flying by the seat of my pants, as this will hopefully take on, and there will be more people coming to see this. And I will be putting out specific videos on YouTube and sharing it with Facebook. And I have a Patreon page that will have like more private videos in regards to it'll be tiers. So it's basically something that you can join and you kind of get more one-on-one interaction with me and some more advice and insight on specific topics. So a lot of things that I will be doing on this channel is I will be offering ways of, how do you do mindfulness and meditation? These are different tools that we can use when we're super anxious, we're overwhelmed, and it trains our mind. Okay. We do very little these days to train our mind except social media and television. It's what we do. I do it too. I do it too. I, get lost in TikTok. I get lost on YouTube channels watching stuff. I get lost scrolling through my Facebook pages and reading people's stories. It's not bad, but it does invoke overstimulation for our brains, which is not always good because if you're over firing in that brain of yours and all those neurotransmitters are just, you will be depleted. You will feel low. And like this time of year right now, we are in the beginning of February. Tomorrow will be February 1st. We are now getting ready to start to eventually increase in our light, but we have gone through this decrease since September that the light has gotten less and less and less. And when it gets colder, we don't go outside as much. We get depleted of vitamin D. If we get depleted of vitamin D, our brains stop firing to produce our chemicals the right way, the serotonin, the dopamine, the norepinephrine, the feel-good chemicals. So everybody gets levels of seasonal affective disorder where you feel depressed and you feel anxious. So what do you do for that? A lot of people do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Simple things that you can do. Of course, working out, tremendous. It's one of the best things you can do. But people always come and they're like, well, that would be great, but I have no motivation. Yeah, okay, I get it. You have no motivation. You need vitamin D supplements. Okay. This time of year, you need vitamin D supplements. If you're really feeling down and out, you need to search out an herbal supplement that they sell everywhere. All this stuff can be gotten at like Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Meijer, wherever they sell vitamins, where you're at. So you can get, it's called SAM E, and it is wonderful. I suggest it to clients all the time, teenagers, adults, especially people that really want to go more of a holistic route, that don't want to be prescribed psychotropic medications. I'm completely holistic. I really do like natural approaches before going down the medication route, even though medication is necessary at times. Okay, people? Sometimes you got to take medicine to help stabilize your mental health. Plain and simple. There's no shame in it. It's better to be happy. It's better to be stable so you can actually work towards things that you want. So that being said, so in the winter, you got seasonal affective disorder. You're looking at these herbal supplements, SAM-E. It's great. I will add, after this video feed is done, I will on the YouTube channel add some links of where you can find these things that I'm talking about. But SAM-E is pretty it interacts with your system pretty fast. So you're looking at about 2 weeks and you should feel a little bit more up. And if you're down and you're getting the vitamin D, I suggest vitamin D3. It's immediate. It gives you energy. It's good for you. And lacking energy, go for B12 supplements. They sell them that they're dissolvable. I know that myself and my kids, we take them before working out or before a sports activity because it does kind of give you a boost of energy. It gives you an oomph. It's good. We have to do everything in our power to try to feel better and to better these vessels that we're walking through life in. Okay? Life is short. We should enjoy it. So that plays into another thing that I think that we'll talk about. I get a lot of people that come in and they feel horrible, they feel guilty, they feel bad all the time, and they don't really know why. But they will choose to not reach out to other people. They will choose to keep it all to themselves. And they truly get in that point of contemplation of it's not so much that they are going to commit suicide and take themselves out, but they truly don't want to live. Like they would just prefer to roll over and give up. It's sad. It's hard because when people get to that point, they don't care. They just want things to end. Why do people get to that point? Usually people get to that point because they end up taking care of other people their whole life. And they feel like they're a burden to anyone. So they don't reach out for help. And then they come to me and they want to know why they feel that way. And one of the first things I tell them is to stop doing for other people for a while. You know, people call people selfish. I tell people to be more selfish. You've got to put yourself first. If you ever expect to help anybody else, you have to put yourself first. It doesn't mean you take other people out to put yourself ahead of them. It means that you put yourself first in a way of, what do I need? Am I exerting too much energy into empty relationships that aren't being reciprocated the way that I want them to be? Are you getting your relationships? Are they a two-way highway? Or are you doing all the work? If you're doing all the work, it's not beneficial to you. You're going to get depleted. You're not going to want to be in that relationship. And either they will continue to take from you and not give back. You'll eventually walk away, or you'll just be miserable. So, the pursuit of happiness is a very, very important thing. How do you build up self-worth? What is self-worth? Self-worth is looking at yourself and loving yourself. You know, most people, you ask them what love is, they don't know how to explain it. I think that a lot of people, when they get to the point where they can actually explain love, is usually when they have children, because it gets to a point of being selfless, but not all parents are selfless. So it's a hard place to be. So what do you think are some of these things that people can do to build their self-worth? How do you learn to love yourself? Well, there's a big part of it that you kind of got to fake it to make it to begin with, because you don't just look in the mirror and go, oh, gee, I'm amazing. This is wonderful, especially if you have had bad thoughts and feelings about yourself in the past, right? So I have these two YouTube channels I go to all the time. And the one channel, it's called The Honest Guys. Again, I will add these links at the bottom of this video when we're done. But they're called The Honest Guys. And, you know, I'm not affiliated with them at all, but they're amazing. I love their scripts. They have meditations. They have affirmations. So that kind of goes into it. How do you build self-worth? Fake it to make it mentality. You have to rewire your brain. How do you rewire your brain? In order to rewire your brain, you have to do things in a very habitual way. You make a schedule. One of the things I tell my clients to do, as well as what I do myself, is I will do a small meditation before I even get out of bed every morning. And I say small, like less than 20 minutes. And I kind of set my alarm. I do it. I listen to the meditation. I may fall back to sleep. I may have to be woken back up, but it seems to like set a good path for the day. It just kind of puts a nice little light step in your overall ability to get up and do what you have to do. Now, some people have different schedules. So if that means that you are a third shifter, then do it at your time of when you're getting up. It doesn't have to be in the morning. Affirmations. What are affirmations? Affirmations are these positive statements about yourself. I am a good person. I am worthy of love. Now, I tell clients to do affirmations every day. Okay. The thing is that people have a very, very, very hard time coming up with their own affirmations, right? Because you feel silly. You feel ridiculous. You feel like it just feels like a joke. Okay. I always tell people the story, and I don't know, some of my my friends and my older clients and those of us that are like 40 plus will probably remember this, but there was a skit on Saturday Night Live back when I was a kid, and the character's name was Stuart Smalley. And Stuart Smalley was this really goofy, dorky, poindextery little guy that always wore this gray sweater, and he was always very poised and proper. And he had a little mirror standing up like right here. And the beginning of it was be like, you look in the mirror and you'd be like, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and by golly, people like me. Right. So affirmations, technically, people are like, look in the mirror and say, I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am good. Right. People have a really hard time doing this. Well, the honest guys, great, great, wonderful. They have these scripts, and it's affirmations. And there's like one that's like, I think 6 minutes long, and one that's like 11. But they do it for you, and you listen to it, and you just can either repeat it or kind of let it absorb in what you're paying attention to. I listen to the affirmations when I'm getting ready. So if I'm getting ready in the morning, I'll listen to it when I'm in the shower, doing my makeup, doing my hair, whatever. It works. You do feel better listening to them. It's setting a positive tone for yourself. Another thing to help build self worth, creating gratefulness. What's gratefulness? What are you grateful for in your life? People get so stuck in these modes of looking at the negativity in their life, and they're just like, everything sucks. I am horrible. Nothing works out for me. And they go over these little narratives in their head that are completely pessimistic. They are negative. They're not helpful whatsoever. So, what do you do? Well, I'm sure many of you out there may have heard, like, what it was called, like the 2 minute grateful challenge, where people would set a timer for 2 minutes, and they would sit down and they would literally just for 2 minutes. And you start with the basics, the basics of what you're grateful for. I am so grateful and thankful that I have shoes on my feet. I'm so grateful and thankful that I have a warm place to live. I have a roof over my head. I can breathe. I can see. These are important. We forget about the little blessings in our life, the simple stuff. You may have had failed relationships. You may have health issues. You may have many bad things that have happened to you. But what's good? What can you pick out in your life that is good? That's a challenge. Or is it? I know a lot of times when I get people started on it, they kind of go with it and they're like, wow. Because when they get done with it, they're like, that really did make me feel better. I really do need to practice positivity. It's funny, isn't it? It's funny how it's so easy to be negative and it is so difficult to be positive. You know, I think people struggle with this all the time. I do too. I have my moments, but I don't let those moments completely derail me, and I don't get back up on the horse. All right. This is another key point in building your self worth. You're going to have bad days. You may have a couple bad days. You may have some bad weeks. But what do you do with that? Do you just roll over? Do you just give up? No. Don't you want to be happy? Don't you want to feel good about yourself and confident? Most people do. Most people do. so much, but they don't know what it feels like because they've never felt it before. It's a very, very foreign feeling. I challenge people all the time because I do not believe that it's helpful to resonate in trauma or keep yourself stuck in a place of gloom and doom. You can't keep crying. I know that, like, a part of it is that we just want everything to be perfect. I mean, I do. I wish everything would just work out. But I do get in these little avenues of like, I reevaluate what I want. I reevaluate what I want in my life. I reevaluate what I want in myself, what I find important, because this evolves as you get older and certain situations hit you and you get involved with different people or just have different stuff happening to you. So one plan is never the set plan. You have to keep evolving that plan. You have to keep working on yourself. You have to keep writing your story. You know, I love the evolution of people's stories. They're amazing. And I have seen it firsthand, not only in my own life of really trying to take control of manifesting things that I want and trying to be the person that I want to be and project that out to my family, friends, clients. Um, it's a big deal. So I know that that in itself, you have to work hard on your story, your narrative. How do you be better? How do you work harder? And it doesn't have to be difficult. These are simple things. These are things that don't necessarily require you to take much extra time in your day, but it is a way for you to take control of your life. And that's what we all want. So I know this is probably like, it is kind of like all over the place, and I apologize. I didn't want to have too much of a specific thing that we were just going to hit on so hard. I have gotten questions. I know that one of the biggest questions that I've gotten over the last, it's been huge over this last school year because of all the schools being either virtual or a hybrid mix of in-person and virtual. I know where I am at in Hamilton County, like our elementary schools, the kids are there every day, right? Then you get to the middle school and high school, and majority of the schools were virtual or hybrid, but now all of them are working to be hybrid. So you got half the kids there on one day, and then half the kids are at home. Kids are struggling. Kids are struggling so much. I have basically become a therapist slash organizational tutor for teens and adolescents lately, because these kids they're just lacking any motivation to do anything. They find school to be a joke. I mean, like, I get this from kids that are like at so many different schools, and they all say the same thing to me, that they don't feel like they're able to get the help that they need with the classes that they have, and that they get a bunch of busy work on virtual days, and they all feel like they're pretty much teaching themselves. And I feel bad because I don't think it's the teacher's fault. I think that this would be tremendously difficult to try to navigate as a teacher in having virtual learning and in-person learning, and you have one set of the kids there and the kids on the other day. So I have highly encouraged parents to get back to basics. I mean, I think that majority of us that are parents probably, go back to the time that when we were in school, you had like old school syllabuses, right? I know my kids did when they were like in elementary school, and now they're in, like, I have a high schooler and a middle schooler. But You get an actual book syllabus that has everything in there. And rather than just depending on Canvas and like identifying when things get put in, we're making these kids literally sit down and write it all out. And then the parents can go and check it. We are going to be dealing with a learning deficit with these kids. These kids are all going to be a little bit behind. We all have to face those facts. There's absolutely nothing that any of us can do about it now except work to put the pieces back together and help encourage them and hopefully get them all to a point where they will like learning again. I know this has been a struggle in my household. It's more of, you know, before they wanted to go back to school. They wanted it, they liked it, but school's so different and they don't get to see all their friends because half of them were there one day and half of them were there the other day. And it's just not normal. They don't get to experience all the regular normal activities that they once had expected. And there's an underlying anxiety and depression with all of these kids, for sure. Um, their world was turned upside down. Us as adults, we've been able to deal. I mean, I'm very much a homebody myself, so staying home has not been a big deal to me. I'm a therapist. Telehealth has skyrocketed, so it is very comfortable for me to be at home and do online therapy with my clients, and it's very helpful. I do in person as well. That's not bothered me. Kept doing it through the whole pandemic. My world has not changed much. And since I work alone, I really haven't had to deal much with like having to wear a mask except out in public. Um, I've had minimal exposure. I've worked in nursing homes and everything like that through the pandemic as well and was fine. All right. So yeah, I'm lucky. But I know I'm lucky and I validate the fact that I've been lucky. And I've tried to help my kids be able to adapt to the fact that they didn't get to go to football games. They didn't get to go to dances after school activities that should have been happening. Um, I mean, there's so many of these kids that have had gosh, the amount of seniors in high school that I've counseled over the last year from when the pandemic first hit and they didn't get to do anything that they wanted to do versus the kids this year that are desperately fighting to try to figure out how they put a graduation together. And it seems like a lot of the school systems have kind of gone, well, it's up to them. But, we need to try to get normalcy back. We all need to try to encourage these kids to talk about their feelings and have an outlet because they're not going to necessarily tell mom and dad everything, right? They're not. The kids that I counsel, the teenagers, they just want to be heard and they don't really know how to understand all the feelings that they're feeling. They're angry, they're sad, they're hurt, they're scared. They don't know what to think of anything because let's face it, the adults of the world lately haven't been making things make much sense. And I think all of us as adults can agree with that. It's confusing for all of us, but I think the majority of us know that things will settle down, things will change because we've seen this happen before. We've seen the change over and over and over again. So there's that. So, the biggest questions from the parents is like, how much do I help them? How much do I let them fall on their face when they're not getting their assignments done? It's a hard thing to say because honestly, I suggest no, you don't let them fall on their face because I really don't think these kids have been set up with the tools to keep themselves organized and structured the way that they need to be. So, us as parents, one of the biggest things I think that we can do to educate our own children and get them back on track is that teach them how to organize themselves. Check in with it. Don't make it a point of contention. Make it a regular habit. that you're sitting down a couple times during the week and pulling out the syllabus and looking online together to really feel it out. Because I know when I do this with my teenagers in counseling, I have seen about every Canvas and Power School page and like it's confusing. Okay. It is confusing because they have these kids on different schedules. They have them on these different hybrid schedules. So these kids are not only seeing what is being assigned to them, but also what's being assigned to the other kids on the other days, the other cohorts, the other teams, whatever school you're at and what they're doing. It is confusing. And it is very easy for these kids to assume that they've turned something in or just outright lie to you because they know that they're going to be able to get it in late because most of them can, right? So there is a lot of value in writing this stuff down and making lists and having them go through it and you check it off and they check it off. It helps increase their self-confidence and self-worth. It helps show that they can be accountable because when we actually are able to follow through with some of these things, we feel good about it. I don't know about you, but like I love lists. I love when I make a list and I'm like, yes, check, 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 check. I did it. Yeah. All right. So yes, make lists because lists can change. But when you do accomplish these goals or these tasks, you feel good about yourself. And that's what we are trying to accomplish. That is what I want to be able to help people accomplish is feeling the best that you can within your own body, your place and time, and how do you continue to help it grow over the years, right? Okay. So, yeah, that's where this whole show is going to be going. So, I am definitely going to be posting videos that are going to be about self improvement, self love, fulfilling your inner happiness, understanding the law of attraction, understanding how to manifest what you want, increasing your ability to be grateful and positive. Um, and in that meantime, we are going to be I'll be having videos on the YouTube page as well as Facebook and whatnot of Kai, who is my therapy dog. He is 6 months old and he is being trained. Right now, he's sleeping on the floor by me. Kai, come here. You gonna get up? You gonna come say hi? Come here. Come here. Come here, buddy. Oh. Oh, come here, Kai. So this is Kai. This is Kai. And he is an Australian Shepherd. He's a blue Merrill Australian Shepherd. He is, like I said, he is literally freshly 6 months old. And he is a very, very good boy. He's learning all sorts of wonderful tricks. And he is very energetic. So a lot of the videos that I will be putting on YouTube, Facebook, he gets crazy. It's crazy. And those that have been around him before in therapy can attest that he likes to put on a show when he's around people. He loves it. He's everybody's bestest friend. But he's doing really good. So we're going to be kind of documenting what we're doing with him in regards to his training. I have this up here so I can sit down. But he's going to go run. So we'll see how well it goes. I don't know. I am very, very excited for people to start getting involved with this, asking questions. I will be getting to the point where as people will be watching and whatnot, there'll be some questions feeding in on the YouTube channel as well as the different Facebooks that I'm more than happy to answer and address if there are any issues or basically any topics that anybody feels that they would love me to cover in future episodes. I would absolutely love to do it. So don't hesitate to reach out to me on the Facebook platforms or on the YouTube platform, or you can email me at whatwouldsam say2020 at gmail.com. Also, majority of you all know that, I'm around. I've had the same number for 20 years now, which is great. I have Kai hair on my mouth now, um, which is absolutely crazy. And so, I add all that stuff on there. I will put it down below, but feel free to reach out to me, text or call 317-590-6512. Anybody that is seeking out counseling, if you need any referrals, please let me know. I would be more than happy to direct you to somebody in your area, whether you're in this state or another. If you want counseling through me and you are in Indiana, I am more than happy to figure out how we would do that face to face or telehealth and be able to utilize insurance. If you don't have insurance and you want to do private pay, I'm more than happy to figure out how we can go about that as well. My true goal is to help people. I love it. I'm trying to create a new avenue that makes sense, that is inspiring and enlightening, because I want people to find themselves and be happy with who they are. So, yeah, there you go, people. I hope this wasn't too rough of a run. I hope you enjoyed um, seeing what I had to say. We're going to get deeper into these topics and hit on some more questions that people will have as this goes on. But this was an introduction. This was an overview. It will be archived so people can go back and watch. I will be adding more videos as the week goes, and I think that we will work probably to have another live stream probably in the next couple weeks. I don't know. I may do it next week. Who knows? Who knows? But I will definitely put it out there for anybody to get involved in and be able to listen to it. I'm very excited for this. I plan on having some guests on some of these, so there is more of a rhetoric and banter on these topics. I have some people that I have been talking to that, have had their own personal experiences and have risen above and are finding their higher selves, as well as other coaches and trainers and people that inspire other people to be the best they can be. So that's what we're about. We're about empowerment. We're about making people better, happier, and more fulfilled. And let's start spreading love, understanding, acceptance, tolerance, and stop being so hateful. Stop being so judgmental. Life is too short. We all deserve to be happy. So that's what Sam would say. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I know that I can probably talk for hours and hours, but I definitely don't want to just ramble on. So we will wrap this up. Not a bad run for me, just talking nonstop. I look forward to any and all feedback. Please don't hesitate. But like I said, be nice, don't be mean. Suggestions are always welcome. I look forward to doing this again. This will happen, and it's just going to get bigger and better and more wonderful. So there we go. I know it's kind of still snowing here in Indiana. We've got some nice whiteness outside. It's chilly. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, folks. Be nice to one another. Give somebody a hug. Say something nice. And tomorrow, start fresh. Start building yourself up. And I will add those links to the YouTube channels that I like, and I will put the information about the CME, as well as vitamin D and B12 supplements. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Those of you that are watching, I love you. I appreciate you, and I wish you all the best. And I will see you guys next time. So please don't hesitate. Email me, whatwouldsamsay2020@gmail.com. Keep checking out the videos on What Would Sam Say on YouTube. Keep interacting with me on the Facebook platforms. And I'll be putting more videos on TikTok as well. Samantha Katie 79. That's going to be more fun. So if you want to laugh at your therapist and see her do funny things, that's where we'll do that. So, all right, guys, I will see you all later. I'm going to get off, stop rambling. We made it 50 minutes. Yay, me. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.